Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Not Fazed with Faye, with me, your host, Faye Brookes. Now my next guest is a specialist in the health and wellness world. She is just an absolute goddess to me. She's the queen of supplements, and I think it's about time that we all got to know this empowering female. Her research and knowledge is just absolutely fascinating, and just to be in her vicinity was empowering in itself. Now, we met on social media. Yes, thank you very much, Instagram. And I'm so glad that we did, because she has helped me and guided me time after time. And she's just a real, true beauty inside and out. However, you won't get to see her beauty this week, because Not Fazed with Faye is going to look a little bit differently. Unfortunately, through no one's fault, we had technical difficulties. It's never happened before on Not Fazed with Faye, and I can only apologise. I'm sorry, we're human. But it did happen, and the only thing we have is the audio, but I would love to share this chat with you because it was just so inspirational, so motivating. And so I'm going to share as much as I can and give you all the good stuff. She was an absolute dream about all of this. So without further ado, please let me introduce my next guest, the one and only Miss Kate Living. She's here, everyone. She's here. Cheers, my love.
Here we are in the blooming Cotswold.
I know. What did we call it?
The
podcast penthouse.
Absolutely.
Everyone, Kate Living is in the house. She's in the podcast penthouse, and you're very welcome, because I've been desperate to get you on. I think we need to tell everybody how we met, but what's crazy is that I can't remember when. We just...
This is true.
I feel like we clicked on social media, like... Really?
Absolutely.
But what a gift. Like, without Instagram, I wouldn't know this goddess. And I think it was El Sarah that really connected us, because we are both brand ambassadors.
Yes.
It's a beautiful supplement.
Yes.
And it was when they got a bunch of powerhouse women together, and it wasn't that long ago, and it was in London, and you walk through the door and I went, I am Kate Living.
Hi, Faye.
Like hashtag I am Kate Living. I am Kate Living. I was like, it wasn't my finest moment, but I just got really excited that I finally was meeting you in the flesh with all your beauty. And I didn't even know that you were going to be talking at that meeting. Well, it was like a beautiful lunch, wasn't it, at the Ivy?
Yeah,
and
it was.
all of these amazing women sat around a table talking about how much they love El Sarah, but their backgrounds, their stories, what they've accomplished. And then you got up and you started telling us what you know. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. Can she be my best friend? And can you come and live with us and tell us how to be amazing human beings? Because I feel like that's what you know, a lot about what you know. And so getting you on the podcast, sharing that with everybody, maybe they can take something away. But I also just love your energy.
That's so kind.
It's
kind.
amazing. And you must have done talks like this with loads of like different brands and companies. And so I think you need to tell everybody what it is that you do, and we'll just go off on a tangent like we always do.
Absolutely. So I think I'll give people like a bit of a background to what got me to be here.
Yes.
So since a very young age, I've just had this real lust for life, this passion, and particularly when it comes to like health. You know, at 13, 14 years old, I had my first job in a local bakery and an ice cream parlour. So
Can we just go back to where you're from as well?
Oh, Charlie.
She's from Charlie.
Charlie, Lancashire.
There's another connection that we have, is that we're both from Manchester. Anyway, carry on, my love.
So, you know, you start earning your first money at like 13, 14, 15 years old. And I used to go into my local health store in Chorley. It was called Chorley Health Foods. It's still there.
The fact that you had a health store in Chorley is amazing.
And I used to go in. I was just really obsessed, I think is the right word, around supplements. Really interested. And this was before the internet, showing my age now. So when I would go in, I'd ask about these supplements. And John, he was called the guy that owned and ran the store, he would go in the back and get me fact sheets on the supplements. And I'd go home and put them in a lever arch file. and teach myself about supplements.
Cutest thing I've ever heard.
For school, I was chopping peppers and carrots and cucumber and taking it as a snack to school. My friends were like getting their chewy wham bar out of the vending machine. Like, why are you eating raw pepper sticks at 10:30 in the morning?
Wow.
And I just had this thing around health. And what it was, it's like I had this internal knowing from a young age. We all came here to live a really happy, healthy, fulfilling life. And one of the main components of that is having good health.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean about getting obsessed about health. I'm not, I'll go out for dinner tonight and have a nice cocktail. I'll order on the menu.
Everything in moderation.
Exactly this.
You only got one life, you better live it, but you want to live it to its fullest.
Exactly. And, my Instagram handle, as you've kindly mentioned, Kate Living.
I am Kate Living.
It's literally living life. It's cheesy, but it's
true. You need your own
theme
tune. Yeah. I can hear it.
Exactly this. So, from a young age, I remember I started buying lots of cookbooks and nutrition books. And there was one called, I think it was Angela Louise Gittleman that wrote the book, and it was called How to Eat Yourself Younger. And it was telling you how to make turmeric paste. Now, this is 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I was 20 at the time. So this is way above, we're all a Faye with turmeric lattes and such now, but wasn't a thing 20 years ago.
Oh, God, no. They're like a huge thing now.
Yes.
And back then it was just like, I'm sorry, what?
It's even in Starbucks. But I remember my mum walking in the kitchen going, why are you cooking how to cook yourself younger? Eat yourself younger when you're 20 years old. But it was just this real tenacity in me about, I wanted to find out what is the magical elixir that makes us look and feel our best every day? What's that magic formula? So I was doing my own, it was a personal hobby, if you will, of mine.
Yeah, you had a huge passion, clearly.
Huge passion. Stashing
so
all
rare
my
that you were
supplements.
14.
But I remember vitamin C was the first supplement I bought. I remember used to hiding them in the drawer in my bedroom.
As if they were illegal.
My parents are going to be spending money on these.
They're going to find my stash of vitamin C.
Exactly.
God.
Exactly this. So it was just this real inner drive in me. And then when I left university, I actually didn't go straight into health. I was guided by, at that age, what you were told at school and what qualifications you've got at college. I ended up going into finance, property finance.
I mean, that's a pretty solid job.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 of the best years of my life. It was in the south of France. Loved it.
I should have mentioned that.
Yes. So that was a lot of fun. And then the recession came and I decided to take some time out and go travelling. Mm-hmm. And when I went travelling, it just gave me a lot of reflection time of when I'm back from travelling, what word, I don't want to go back into property finance. Plus the financial climate had changed the whole... it wasn't the fun industry that I'd entered 3-4 years ago. It was a very stressful place to be. So I thought, I want to pursue my passion. That's health. I really want to go into health. And in a long story short, I ended up...
Bear is licking the mic during your...
You're loving this, aren't you?
Your conversation is giving me all the knowledge.
Without matching outfits.
Continue, darling.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I actually ended up starting my path in health in career in pharmaceuticals industry. I applied for a job in the pharmaceuticals industry. I was the only applicant that didn't have a pharmaceutical background. They actually asked, yes, and I actually managed to secure the position, and I ended up going working for...
Is that just because of what you knew, or how?
I think it was because it was a sales role. They think they saw the eagerness in me to learn
on the job.
Yes, people's skills was a big part, and I think they thought... I remember my manager at the time who gave me the position afterwards, she actually said, I actually took a chance on UK and you've really proved yourself. There was just something about you. I was the last person to be interviewed as well, I remember. So I went into the pharmaceutical industry and it was a real eye-opener for me in that fortunately, I'd not had any illnesses really growing up. I'd had the old coughs and colds every child gets.
The normal stuff, nothing traumatizing or anything worrying for the future,
Yeah, so I'd not, medication hadn't been a huge part of my life and my upbringing. So it wasn't really something that I was used to using or, being honest, I really believed in because obviously I had this innate passion about nutrition. But the universe had obviously guided me to that path because of what I saw during that time. And I did this career for just under, I think it was 4 to 5 years. And what I realised was acute and chronic illnesses, from the common cold to more serious illnesses, is all down to inflammation and vitamin and mineral imbalances in the body.
This is literally what gives me goosebumps. I just get like, everybody knows that I'm into like keeping fit and like my nutrition, but like when I start to know like the thing,
yes,
and I think this is like the key to unlocking anything.
You crack the code with this, and you realise that. And I think a lot of people thought I was nuts when I started talking about this 10 years ago, but now I think people are waking up to it. That if we've got a headache, don't try and mask the pain. Get to the root cause of what's
really
causing that headache.
I'm really guilty of doing that, by the way. Just for anyone listening, watching.
We want that quick fix,
of course we do. We've got places to be. But back to that. So don't go with an instant fix. You were like, go back to the root of it.
Yes, and I say, like, I'm not saying that I just want to banish the pharmaceutical industry. I always use the example that, God forbid, if I get run over tonight, I'm not going to be like, Faye, get me a magnesium capsule. I'm going to be like, get me an ambulance. There's a time and a place
of course,
for the pharmaceutical industry. But I think a lot of it, and people are waking up to it, is that we need to start looking at what's causing these symptoms and imbalances and dis-eases in the body. And I actually had the pleasure, I'll go on to that shortly, but Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, that people are very familiar with, like I worked with him while I worked with him when I was at Viridian Nutrition, and one of his TED Talks in Liverpool spoke about one of the reasons his career took a drastic, like a sudden change in trajectory, was his baby son nearly died, and when they looked into it, it boiled down to a vitamin D deficiency, and that had been the catalyst in his baby boy's body for what had nearly caused his death. So Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, who's gone from being a practicing GP to now more of a holistic, his podcasts are amazing, functional doctor, was this...
Let's get him on.
Yeah, he'll be a fabulous guest for you. Yeah, really, really good guest.
Wow, that's incredible.
So it was waking up, and there was a similar moment for me in that one of my biggest clients when I worked in the pharmaceutical industry was care homes.
Yeah.
And we would supply a lot of medications to these homes, and part of my role was to go and visit them, look after checking with the homes, etc. And one day I turned up at this home in St. Helens up north, I remember, and this elderly lady was passing away, bless her. So the doctor came and we said, let's start. Sometimes, as we get older, these elderly people can bring a lot of medication. So they go in blister packs in the care home. So what the care home will do, in the morning, they go around with a medication trolley. They administer all the capsules, tablets, liquids, etc. in the blister pack. They take them, and then there'll be the lunch round, then there'll be the dinner round, and even the evening round as well. So it's a lot of medication. Anyway, so this lady was...
Pill for everything, as my mother would say.
Exactly. And this lady was passing, bless her. The doctor came and we said, well, let's stop her medications. And as we stopped giving her medications, she literally came back to life in front of our eyes. No. And I remember being started saying, this is bizarre, as if I think a lot of people as they get older, taking all that medication can be putting so much pressure and overriding their system. We're bypassing actually how incredible the human body and capable it is of healing itself.
Preach.
Yeah. And exactly.
Our bodies are amazing.
They are phenomenal. With the right knowledge and decisions, we are the greatest alchemists of, changing our health and well-being. And I'll drop in another story about that today, which I think your listeners will really enjoy. So during my I think it was nearly 5 years I was in the pharmaceutical industry, I was like, I've seen all I needed to see. This industry isn't for me anymore. Okay. And actually, I want to go into what is my real passion. It's functional medicine, it's nutrition, etc. And I thought, if I really want to make this a career for life, I need to get some formal qualifications in it for companies, businesses, etc. to take me seriously.
Good for you.
So I started on the sideline while I was still working for pharmacy, studying functional medicine and naturopathic nutrition. I did that for 2 years, and during that course I did, I realised that supplementation is absolutely vital for optimal health in the modern world. And I'll go deeper with that on the podcast today. But I got really pulled in, and again, it reminded me of how this intuitive nudge at just 14, 15 years old with supplements, that these are, I'm not saying they replace a healthy diet or healthy lifestyle, but they are absolutely fundamental. And this was in alignment with what I observed in my time in pharmaceuticals, that these vitamin and mineral deficiencies that a lot of us are experiencing because the modern food chain cannot give us the large percentage of us what we need because it's highly processed, pesticides, flown across continents, wrapped in plastics. Unless we're in the beautiful Cotswolds with our own little veggie patch, living, loving life. But for the vast majority,
you want to move here, don't you?
I really, really do. I'm going to say my train's cancelled later.
Yeah, she's moving in.
And of course, as we all know, we're living such demanding lifestyles.
Yeah.
Even on the train coming here, like, you observe the train, myself included, we've lost the art of daydreaming. No one even just looks out the window on a train now. That we're scrolling on our phones. So, the pressure we're putting on nervous systems every day is not what the human body was geared to deal with. So we're having these acute mineral deficiencies in the body. It's what I call it's like a widening nutritional void. And it's like filling in that void with the correct supplementation is what's key to supporting our bodies when our food chain isn't giving us what we need. So we've got a decrease of nutrients, but an increase in stress on the body. So it's causing this widening nutritional void that can be filled in by correct and quality supplementation. So when I was learning this study in functional medicine, I thought, I want to go and work for a supplement brand. Like, I really want to delve even deeper on this. Like, how are these supplements made? What goes into this?
Yeah. How are they made?
How are they made? And then this is when the plot thickened. I started researching into supplements, and I was like, oh my God.
Such an idiot when I'm around her. It's because I love her energy. I'm like bouncing, literally vibrating next to you. Sorry.
I began to realise that like 95% of supplements out there are a load of rubbish.
She was going to swear. Which you could do.
Okay, a load of shite.
As we're like beeping it out in edit.
Exactly. And it really like put this fire in my belly because I was like, based on the hard science, people need to be supplementing in the modern world to prevent hormonal balances, infertility, insomnia, anxiety, all linked to vitamin and mineral deficiencies in the body and high inflammation, which are interlinked. So I was like, if human beings need these supplements to support their health, which determines the quality of your life, these companies should not be selling poor quality products. And as well, if you then walk into a local supermarket and pick up an A to Z multivitamin, and I'll go into why they're the worst supplements to buy, and you take that, you see no difference in your energy levels, your vitality, your skin, your hair, your sleep. You extrapolate that out most likely to all supplements. Oh, they're just a con. They're a waste of money. It's, I really wanted to become a thought leader, an authentic voice in the supplements industry to show and guide people that actually, when you take the right supplements, everything changes.
That's why I want everyone to know who she is. Because she's just amazing. Like, why doesn't everyone know who Kate Living is?
So sorry,
I'm obsessed with you.
So I wanted to go into the supplements world. So I qualified in naturopathic nutrition, functional medicine, decided it was time to gracefully bow out of the pharmaceutical industry. And I started researching, like, what supplement brands can I go and work for that are high quality, that I'm going to learn a lot with. And there was this UK-based brand that really stood out to me called Viridian Nutrition.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, great brand. Good. The pure supplements, scientifically backed formulas. They do a lot of work with charity, which is close to my heart as well. So I reached out to them, sent my CV, said I'd love to come and work for you. And a few months later, I actually secured a role with them. And this is still one of the best things that ever happened to me in my career and path in health, because there's a lot you can learn studying and doing courses.
Right.
But when you go and work for a supplements company that gets you working with functional doctors globally, naturopathic nutritionists globally. I remember I worked once, I'm getting goosebumps now, with Dr. Decker Wise, who was the leading cardiologist in the world in 2016. He was based out in Arizona. And I learned so much from him. We were both on the same page. And I remember him doing this seminar for us all at Viridian.
Wow.
And he said 2 days of the week out in Arizona, he's what will be our equivalent of a GP. And the other 2 days of the week, week, he's the equivalent of what is like a functional doctor. And he had been awarded the leading cardiologist in the world because as a functional doctor, not a GP, he'd cured so many people of cardiovascular disease through supplementation and lifestyle. And I remember him drawing on this whiteboard at the front of the room, and he said, this is what we've all been brainwashed. We decay and corrode into the grave, literally. We get older, we get aches, we get pains, we take a pill after pill after pill, and then death becomes upon us. And he said, this isn't how it has to be. Like, we can be like, and this is like, you read the book, The Blue Zones, we can have health and vitality right up until the day we pass if we know how to look after our bodies correctly and we're given that knowledge.
It's the knowledge though, isn't it? You've got to go looking for it. You've got to be like hungry to know it. Like be open to accepting. Because I was saying this to you, it's like our brains have been programmed a different way, and it's completely like rewinding all of that and starting afresh.
It's like almost unlearning everything that we've been conditioned, like unraveling an onion.
Which is really hard.
It's really hard. And like, you know, I say we're in a world of this, you know, the internet is such a blessing but such a curse. There's so much information out there, but it's almost too much information.
Oh, it's
like,
so overwhelming.
Like
sometimes they can all contradict one another and it doesn't make sense. It's like, I need How to Live a Long, Healthy Life for Dummies book.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me.
And that's just like, imagine supplements. Like, you know, people are really, we've seen such a boom in the industry in the past 4 to 5 years. And it's like, oh, okay, I know I should be taking magnesium. So what form, what dose, what time of day? You know, it's so overwhelming for people. And there's so many people with, you know, different opinions and thoughts on it. So this was really, when I was working for Viridian and seeing how their supplements and like functional doctors like Dr. Decker Wise, I worked with Ben Brown, who's out in Australia. He has an amazing book called The Digestive Health Solution. He's all about his real specialism is the digestive system.
The gut,
the epicenter of the body.
The gut is your second brain.
Literally.
My mother taught me that.
Yes,
but that's because she was a nutritionist. And I feel very lucky that I had that upbringing. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like I had someone around me who was just as clued up as you, but learning as they went.
Yes.
And then kind of giving me like tidbits and things that I need to probably think about before making a decision on where I was going to eat. Or, you know, if I wasn't around her, like what I'm calling up going, is this okay if I take this before bed, or am I going to be awake all night? You know, all those little things. So I got lucky with that. But if someone doesn't have that,
it could be really confusing.
Yeah.
So when I was working with Viridian and I was really seeing through working with these amazing people, like what supplements we're doing. You know, as I said, like Dr. Decker Wise, leading cardiologist in the world, and a pillar of what he was doing for his clients was putting them on the correct supplements, as in to help cure them of cardiovascular disease. So I worked for Viridian for around 4 years, and I was like, right, I'm ready now to go and set up my own business where I will begin to like educate people on the right supplements out there, how to take them, what to do, what not to do. Mm-hmm. And as the universe likes to do, it throws a curveball in right at the last minute. So I'm about to make that leap. And any entrepreneur on the pod listening to this today, you know that almost like that excitement, but apprehension.
Everything could change.
Everything could change. And I get a phone call from a really polite lady. Hi, Kate. My manager, my CEO, I'd love to meet with you. We've heard great things about you, and we're looking for a global account manager for our supplements company. Would you be kind enough to come and meet? I'll call him Phil for confidentiality reasons, but it wasn't Phil. Would you like to come here, Phil, for a coffee to discuss the role? And I'm always one, if the universe like opens doors, we never close them. Just go, curiosity, go along. It was in Cheshire, near where I live, so I thought I'll go down. So I met this wonderful gentleman, and he said, basically, I've bought a supplements manufacturing company, one of the biggest in Europe, based in the UK. And I'd love you to come along and potentially be our key account manager for, I'm not going to mention names, but all these big brands that do penny sales, buy one, get one free, these kind of big brands on the high street that are very well known for supplements.
Yeah.
And I remember
definitely have like a customer card.
Yes.
Rack up my points.
Exactly. And I remember...
Buy one, get one free.
Yes, that's the ones. I remember sitting there thinking, I've worked for Viridian, which in the car world is probably the equivalent of like your Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't go and work, I don't think, with these brands because their quality of product is very different to what I'm used to working with.
Okay.
And I wouldn't take those products personally. And everyone used to speak about my passion when I worked at Viridian. I even got used to get asked a few times at trade shows, like, oh, this is your business, this is your company. I'd be like, no. I'm a regional sales manager. But it was just, I think, that passion and knowledge I had with the business. So I thought, how can I go and work for this company when...
If you don't love what they represent.
Exactly. Anyway, he said, I'd like to invite you to a formal interview in London. So I said, I'll come along. I said, and can you give me the product specifications of the supplements I'd potentially be working with? And I saw the specifications and I thought, yeah, this has confirmed everything I thought. Like, these are the supplements that I would never recommend to people. They're marketed well, X, Y, and Z, but they're not going to be bringing the health benefits that good supplements can. So I went for the interview and then they offered me the job in the room. So I was like sat there and I thought, I need to...
Which is great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I thought, I need to work out a way to potentially politely decline this. So I said, could I have 24 hours to think about it? I'll come back to you tomorrow. Yeah, of course. And I was driving back from London and I just had this epiphany. Kate, take the role. Like, go and get the intel and the insight to how these companies work. You've worked with one of the best quality brands. Get confirmation of what you think is right. So I took the role. Oh my God. And yes, working with these companies, I was like, it was
behind the scenes. Yeah.
I was doing nothing unethical. I gave that role my all. I performed for the company.
I got know the results. You wouldn't have done anything malicious. Your heart is way too good for that.
And it was like, I just wanted to see, like, how do these companies work behind the scenes? And it is, their core objective is product profitability. Whereas I'd gone from working for a brand like Viridian, of course they're a business, a product needs to be profitable, but they genuinely have product performance at the core of everything they did. And that's why, clients who took their products were seeing such incredible results. So I went and worked, I did the role for around 10 months. And then I just knew in my heart of hearts, now was the time to go with my own business. I was ready to do it. We'd had just the COVID pandemic in the world. Everyone was like really concerned and anxious around their health.
I feel like it was just such a sad, difficult time.
Yes.
But so much good came
out of it. And one of these things was that people realised...
Our relationship came from that time. Like, hello? Sorry,
absolutely
carry on.
But it really made people wake up to their health. And that because it was, people realised as well that we were in a time where if you did get an illness that we believed the world was struggling with at the time, the doctor might not be able to fix you. So it was like this whole wake-up call.
Yeah, because we couldn't go anywhere. And sort of time then slowed down.
Exactly.
All that we were left with was, what's going to happen with my job? My family going to be okay?
Yes.
And then it was, am I okay?
Yes,
and there was that huge question that I do think nowadays more and more people are talking about mental health and about how they feel and about what it is, whether it is anxiety, whether they are worried and stressed and spiraling, it's all those things. But actually, then that coincides with just like your everyday habits, routines. The supplements is that.
Exactly.
It's giving you balance.
It is. And two of the companies that I was looking after when I was the global account manager, I'm not going to mention names, it was very unprofessional, but they are typically on the UK High Street. They've been there a long time. They actually had to, when they closed their stores, because that was, when the High Street closed down in COVID times.
Yes.
So all their customers were going onto their website. They could not deal with the demand on their websites. Everyone was wanting vitamin D to protect their immunity, vitamin C, zinc, because they weren't geared up to be an online retailer. They were a high street retailer predominantly. Their websites crashed. I know the online retailer, again, I won't mention names, but they were a really strong online brand for supplements. I think they mopped up 3 million customers in April alone because the supplements industry saw this boom. But then what we did see was a lot of companies flooding onto the market, want to make a quick buck. They wanted to bring supplements quickly and to cashing on this. So again, this is part of my catalyst. Like,
they're jumping on the bandwagon.
I need to get out there and help educate people and support people on how to supplement correctly. What are the right brands? Because this industry is getting swamped now.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's like I say, it's
a good thing,
exactly. It's a
but
good
do
thing.
it for the right reasons, so that you're giving the best to those people that are interested. Rather than just you're making money off of this.
Exactly. And again, I always had this internal driver that because I'd seen the benefits that supplements had brought to people's lives, I didn't then want people going buying crap supplements, not having a benefit and going, actually, all supplements are rubbish, you know. And I always use the A to Z multivitamin as a classic example.
Yeah.
The A to Z of
How
multivitamins
can you get an
just doesn't exist.
How?
Like, what's vitamin P?
How?
Vitamin Z.
What is vitamin Z?
And, you know, this is like, and what happens is, and
it is not sleep.
Exactly. And I've sat in these board meetings when these companies.
My gag was so slow.
And it's, you know, when companies want to misguidingly market to you, they will say, oh, there's 100 things in this formula, therefore this is the best supplement. No, it's not. If there's a sprinkling of 100 ingredients in that tiny capsule, you're not getting a therapeutic dose of anything.
Wow.
You know, an El Sera that we've touched on, that brand ambassadors, you know, they've got 4 or 5 ingredients in their formula because it's potent. You've got a therapeutic dose.
It's the best of the best in it.
And that's what you need. More
we love
isn't always
El Sera.
best, when it comes to supplements. So I left and I set up my website, katelivingsupplements.com, and I started cherry picking. Hello. I started
get onto that in a minute.
Exactly. And I started cherry picking the best brands out there. Not as an influencer, there was no cash incentive for me or anything like that. Just what I knew from my knowledge and my personal experience.
You've just done a lot of research. You knew.
I'd taken the research out of it because what happens with supplements, people get so overwhelmed, they either don't bother buying at all. They're like, do you know what, this is just too overwhelmed, I'm giving up. Or they'll go, oh, I'll get that because that's some buy one, get one free. I'll get that because I saw someone on Instagram taking it. And you know, that is mishmash. So what I did, I didn't just cherry pick like the best brands with the best formulas, quality, purity, etc. I also started building like bundles on my website. So for example, our bestseller is A Woman of Wellness. And it's the 5 fundamental supplements every woman should take for optimal health.
Okay.
And what
Spill.
I'm
in.
And what I say is vitamins and minerals are magic an orchestra. This is how I explain it to people.
Okay.
So we've got all the instruments in an orchestra. Now, if everyone just plays to their own tune, that can be the worst thing you've ever heard. Yeah, everyone's picking up a trumpet and a violin and just going for gold. But if they all play in harmony, it's the most beautiful harmonic thing you've heard.
Yeah.
And that's like vitamins and minerals in the body. If they're taken at the right time of day, right dose, right form, you get that harmonic effect in the body. So I'll give you a good example. In the height of COVID, since we've touched on that, we were being...
Sorry if anyone's triggered by that. It was dark times, but it was a good thing. It's a really good thing. Look what came out of it.
Exactly. Vitamin D. I remember even the Daily Mail was shouting, you need to be taking vitamin D to protect your immunity. But there's a break clause here. Vitamin D cannot be activated in the body without adequate magnesium levels.
Did you hear that? I learnt it like a month ago and I'm floored. I was like, what?
So you could be rushing...
I've been taking them separately for years, not knowing
that they activate the vitamin D. Well, you don't need to take them at the same time.
No.
You just need adequate magnesium levels in the body, because what happens is, so you could be then rushing off to your local health store, pick up a vitamin D. If you've got inadequate magnesium levels, and I'll tell you why most people have, that vitamin D is not going to work in the body, and it's actually end up getting pushed into your tissues, which actually over prolonged use can cause hardening of the arteries. Now, I like to lead by the heart, not fear. So the pharmaceutical industry will lead by fear. If you don't take this, you'll die.
Okay.
I try and go with the approach of like, if you take this, you'll live a healthier and happier and more fulfilling life.
Yeah.
But what is interesting, when I was in the pharmaceutical industry, the two of the main nutrients that we're deficient in, which are causing chronic, acute and definitely chronic illnesses globally, is magnesium, the miracle mineral. If you've not, if you've been on Instagram in the past year, everyone will have heard of magnesium. An omega-3 essential fatty acid. The clue's in the name, it's essential for human health. And they actually estimate that around 75 to 80% of UK adults are magnesium deficient. And when you're stressed, it you deplete your body even more of magnesium. So imagine in the height of COVID, everyone was stressed, whether it was about money, health, job security, family's health. And they were rushing off to buy vitamin D, but most people were in a magnesium deficiency. So that vitamin D wasn't having any therapeutic effect in the body.
Wow.
So I started curating these bundles on the website to guide people that vitamins and minerals need to be taken like an orchestra, like a system.
Yeah.
So to give you an example, the Woman of Wellness, it's fundamental 5 supplements every woman and man can take for optimum health.
It's not just for women here.
Just for women.
El Syrah is just for women, but we're talking about Kate.
Yes. So I think this gives people a bit of, without delving too much into the science, and like I say, we could literally sit here and speak all day, all evening. I think a good take home for your listeners will be the fundamental 5, because I think when I do this on consultations as well, like clients find it really, really insightful. So the fundamental 5, first and foremost, is your magnesium.
Yes.
Magnesium because
I've got it.
Yes,
Okay.
80-90% of us are deficient in it. And it also is the catalyst for other vitamins and minerals in the body, such as vitamin D. Like we can't even activate vitamin D without it. Vitamin Bs, there's many vitamin Bs, but vitamin Bs perform better in the body with magnesium. So we need magnesium there in the body to support other vitamins and minerals. And it supports the central nervous system. So poor sleep, anxiety, twitchy eyes, restless legs, headaches, migraines, all symptomatic of magnesium deficiency.
Every single person listening to this saying at least they've got one of those symptoms.
Because
do you know what I mean?
And I saw this in the pharmaceutical industry. I was like, if we start prescribing a good quality, good dose of magnesium, so many people's symptoms would be alleviated.
You're literally changing lives.
And remember that
she's a superhero.
the more depleted our nervous systems get, you know, this can show up initially as a headache, a common cold, but that over months, over years, will degenerate the body and can lead us susceptible to more chronic illnesses. So it's getting magnesium in. If I have clients that are very suspicious or reluctant to take supplements on a super tight budget, I always start with magnesium because they'll take it. And they'll, assuming it's the right one, it's a good quality and it's in the right dose, they'll feel the difference and be like, wow, this shit works. So start with the magnesium.
So magnesium. Next.
Number 2, vitamin B. Think B vitamins. I know we all know B12. Yes, it's amazing. But there's also B5, B6, B3. We do need the family of B vitamins.
Okay. Is this B complex?
B complex. And B vitamins in your brain, think busy vitamins. They're what we need to support energy. We're all fatigued these days. Energy metabolism in our cells. They keep our metabolism strong. They keep our hormones balanced. They support GABA production for healthy mood. So your B vitamins are number 2.
Wow.
Number 3, vitamin D. Immunity, bone health. People aren't aware, if you live in the UK, from October to March, the sun hits the earth at an altitude we cannot synthesize. That's difficult with
It's
a
a
lisp.
really hard word to say.
I have a lisp as well, so it's even more challenging.
It's the cutest lisp in the world.
Vitamin, we can't.
Everyone's going to just want to take you home. You're just so cute. Oh, sorry. Back to business.
We can't synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So it's at least 6 months of the year we're getting no vitamin D from the sunlight.
Okay.
And then we know what the climate is
This
like.
summer.
Yeah. And
Come on.
We have to have, and this
It was gorgeous today. You brought the sun. But like
Bless you.
yesterday, I couldn't even take the dogs out for a walk. It was disgusting.
And this is why when we go on a sunny holiday, our hair grows, our appetite lowers.
Skin is great,
It's
all
glowing.
of that.
We don't get sick because vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, you know, imagine when you put a plant in the sunlight, this is what vitamin D does for our body. It's so, so important for us, but we need that magnesium to activate it.
Yeah.
And I say to clients, if you live in the UK, supplement with vitamin D all year round and just increase your dosage from October to March when we're really getting no vitamin D whatsoever.
Is that Bible then? That's the advice that I should be listening to, because I hear other things like we don't really need it because we do get sunlight and we should probably a bit like how you should eat with the seasons and change your skincare when the seasons change. So if the seasons change for us, should we change the way that we're taking our supplements?
I love that, and this is what I teach one-to-one clients.
Yeah.
We definitely should.
Is that a good question? I mean, there's no bad question here,
Yes,
but
we are cyclical, and women even more so.
Yeah.
So it's about adapting your supplements with the seasons. But for me, the fundamental 5 are what you take all year round. But I'll give you an example. In winter, or if we're just going through periods of elevated stress, you know, I work with a lot of like CEOs and entrepreneurs that might be going through like a growth spurt with a business, etc. Moving house is another example.
Yeah,
So take more magnesium. For women, the menstrual cycle, your body at that time needs more magnesium. But vitamin D, as a baseline, I would always take 1,000 to 2,000 international units all year round if you live in a climate like the UK, and increase that to 2,000 to 4,000 international units throughout the winter months. months.
Amazing.
Yeah, to ensure, because vitamin D, it's seasonal affective disorder. Depression is due to a vitamin D deficiency in the body. And it's like, as I mentioned earlier with Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's son, if we do get deficiencies in some of these key vitamins and minerals, it can be a catalyst for other more chronic issues in the body. So number 3 is vitamin D. Number 4, which is a massive biggie of mine, is omega-3 essential fatty acid. The clue.
I forget to take mine.
So this is why this is so important. And it's like, and the reason, again, this is...
When do I take them?
This is something that my pharmaceutical background really showed me.
Okay.
Omega-3 is an essential fatty acid. The clue's in the name. It's essential for human health, but the human body cannot make it itself. So that means we have to take it in through nutrition or supplements.
Okay. So take it with my supplements.
Omega-3, you can take it as a supplement.
Yeah.
So because your body can't produce it, you must take it in through your dietary sources. So that's like wild oily fish or algae. Yeah. Again, which is why...
people are like, what? I was like, we're not making you take algae, guys.
Yeah, that's like more of an Asian cuisine.
Yes.
People eat seaweed and algae. So wild oily fish is the best source. Again, farmed fish will tend to be fed pellets in fish farms. Wow. So if you were to compare under a microscope, as an example, a farmed salmon compared to the wild salmon, their omega-3 content, as in the wild salmon will be much higher, will be so different, because the reason wild fish have such a high content of omega-3 is they eat seaweed and algae out in the rivers and the oceans.
They're pumped full of the good stuff.
So this is why the traditional Mediterranean diet is so good for longevity. So good. Because they prioritise grass-fed.
Just daydream about Mediterranean
wild oily fish, good quality olive oil.
So I have this really bad obsession with olive oil, but I don't think it's bad.
We're going to touch on that today.
Okay.
Because that's a really key learning for people to take away today
we
as well.
just told you, going off on tangents again. Back to the 5.
Yes, so the number 4 one is the omega-3.
Yes.
What I saw in my pharmaceutical days and why I'm so vocal about omega-3 is it's what's causing depression, Alzheimer's, dementia, joint issues, arthritis, infertility, omega-3 deficiency. And I'll tell you in a nutshell without getting too scientific. Our body is made up of about 30 trillion cells. Can't see it with the human eye, but ultimately our health every day is dictated by the health of those cells at a cellular level. So the cellular membrane needs to be permeable and squishy, so vitamins and minerals can get in the cell and toxins can get out. If this cell membrane becomes hard and rigid, vitamins and minerals from your food or your supplements can't get into the cell, so vitamin and mineral deficiencies go up, and toxins can't get out the cell, so inflammation and toxic load goes up in the body. And what keeps this cell membrane permeable and squishy? Well, 2 things. Water, which is why if we didn't consume water for more than 3 days, we would die of dehydration. Cue water. But what keeps it lubricated is the omega-3.
I was quite thirsty.
Right on cue. Is the omega-3 essential fatty acid. And when they've looked at the brain cells of people with dementia, Alzheimer's, depression, they're all deficient in omega-3. And this is where the book comes in about the global supplements market. Omega-3 is one of the most Googled supplements worldwide. However, the majority of it is made, and I've seen this with my own eyes, is made in a laboratory. So it's a very synthetic fish oil. So this is why when people take these cheaper products, or they could be expensive, they could just be branded up differently, is that when that drops into the stomach, it's not well absorbed because it's a synthetic oil, and you get what's known as fishy burps. And I've had this with clients that have come to me for a consultation. I take this fish oil supplement, but I get fishy burps with it, or I don't seem to digest it. Yes, because you're taking a synthetic oil.
Oh, wow.
And when I started researching, I would say around 95% of the world's omega-3 supplements are synthetically produced in a laboratory. So when I set up my own business, I started researching and looking for like the best omega-3 I could find. And I actually import it from an incredible brand out in South Africa, and it's called Pure and Wild Omega-3. And it's the purest omega-3 supplement in the world. But I'm going to go on shortly to about omega-3 and olive oil. That's another take home for the clients. So in a nutshell, you must be having wild, not farmed, wild oily fish at least 3 to 4 times a week. But ideally taking a good quality pure omega-3 supplement daily. And also your vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat soluble. So if you take your omega-3 and vitamin D at the same time in the morning, you will absorb the vitamin D better. So the omega will help your body absorb it, and the magnesium will activate it.
Wow.
So this is why
if you're taking magnesium at nighttime?
Magnesium perfect in the evening, because you just need magnesium in your body to activate the vitamin D, and it will be in the system.
Okay.
Whereas because if you take your omega at the same time as the vitamin D, the fats in the omega, the essential healthy fats, will enhance the uptake and absorption of the vitamin D.
Just casting my mind back to when I met you at El Serrar event, and you were telling everybody in the room about all of this wonderful and beautiful knowledge. I swear I got my phone out and started taking notes. And then I told everyone in the room, by the way, I'm taking notes. And everyone got their phone out and started doing the same thing.
I love it, because it's breaking down this overwhelm of where the hell do we start with supplements?
And obviously not every single listener, and I hope you're watching this at home, is the same as me. So I'm asking these questions, obviously a little bit selfishly for me, but for everybody at home who is different, who is trying to deal with their different daily lifestyles, or even if they've got a situation where they aren't sleeping great, or all those things.
And remember, these 5 that we're touching on, they are the fundamentals the human body needs to function optimally, and we are not getting them in our food chain. A fruit and vegetable is only as vitamin and mineral rich as the soil from which it grew. There is no magnesium in our soils anymore. We are over farming so much. There's no minerals in the soil, which means that carrot, that celery, that cucumber you're buying has a significantly lower vitamin and mineral content than what it did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. And I'm not saying, if you just take supplements, you don't need to worry about your nutrition. Your nutrition will always be the fundamentals.
No. You've got to eat
filling
good.
In the gaps. The clues in the name, it's a supplement. So the 4th, so we started with magnesium, B vitamins, think busy vitamins, vitamin D, omega, and the 5th and final one is your probiotic. So as we touch the gut, the epicenter of the body, human life starts, can you see me? I don't know if you can see me on the camera, but human life starts as this tiny microscopic cell that splits into 2. And before you even got your limbs, your eyes, your brain, and it splits into 2, that becomes your gut and that becomes your brain. And that's why your gut to brain axis is so powerful. 90% of your serotonin, your happy hormone, made in the gut, sent up the gut to the brain. And again, probiotics after omega are currently the most Googled supplement in the world. Everyone's onto probiotics. Everyone's got gut issues because they're chronically stressed.
Absolutely.
Eating processed foods, sugars, alcohol, wheat, etc. So the vast majority of us are needing help with our gut.
I think everyone's probably needing help with their gut. If they're really honest with themselves about what they're doing, or, even just the fact that we might think a cheat day is okay, but then if the cheat day turns into half the week, it's you're going to end up with some gut problems.
Yeah, medications as well. And again, we know, if going back to how we should be living, if we were eating fruit and vegetables from probiotic rich soils. Other cultures have sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi. They're really, really good. These
Is it weird that I like all that stuff?
So good for you, though. I encourage it.
Yeah. Everyone's she's yogurt. Weird. I was I love it.
So these are all.
I'm proud that I love all that stuff, by the way.
Because that shows you're in tune with your body as well.
Yeah.
Your body's kind of communicating with you. Eat
more
of
this. About this. You've just got to listen to what your body wants.
Yeah, it will tell you. So the thing is, probiotics, to define it for people, is the good bacteria your stomach needs to function optimally. And in an ideal world, we want more good bacteria than bad bacteria. We'll always have some bacteria in the gut, but when we get an overgrowth of pathogenic or bad bacteria, gut issues, gut dysbiosis, falling ill, that's all a sign. Here's a take home for the listeners. Taking a probiotic alone will have some benefit for the body. But when a probiotic drops into the gut, if it is most people have some kind of gut dysbiosis going on, the probiotic will struggle to colonise, because it's a living organism, struggle to colonise and cultivate in the gut. So how do we get around that? We take a formula, a supplement, that's a probiotic combined with a prebiotic. Prebiotics are like fertilizer for the probiotics. It's like sending the probiotics to the gut with a picnic. So when the probiotics drop into the gut, even if they're met with shed loads of bad bacteria, with from sugar, stress, medications, etc., what that probiotic can do is feed on the prebiotics in the same capsule and it's much more effective at colonizing and populating the gut. So like in the Woman of Wellness bundle that I work with, the probiotic is called Microflora Complex because it's a sophisticated combination of your probiotics and your prebiotics. Another way around that would be always ensuring that when you take a probiotic, you have asparagus, garlic, onion, but I'm about making it as easy as possible, you know, for people that they take these fundamental 5 and they're really nourishing their body at a cellular level each day. Now, just to touch on your olive oil, because I think this is a really good take home for everyone.
Because I don't know if I'm like, I love it, right?
Yes.
I have a lot of it. Is there a world where I'm taking too much?
Well, this is a great question. So remember, if you reflect back,
I'm going to cry if you say it is.
No, in fact, there's a wonderful nutritionist who recently did an article for Vogue, and she spoke about why it's so important that she takes a minimum of 1 tablespoon of olive oil a day. But I'm going to give the listeners today take home when it comes to olive oil. So olive oil is it's packed with an antioxidant called polyphenols, and these are the essential fats our brain, our cells, our gut need to function better. They keep us lean. So where we were brainwashed in the 90s, you know, the low-fat diet of the 90s, have these Muller-like yogurts with 20 grams of sugar, additives, preservatives, but there's no fats, they're great for you. We began to realise that good fats on our plate actually keep us healthier, leaner, stronger.
It took a while for me to come away from the low-fat options, you know, because
it does.
I just
really
think
does.
if you think you need to stay looking good, I'm going to go for the low-fat, you're actually doing more harm than good.
Exactly. And this is remembering the 3 pillars of health these days, and this is what I coach my one-to-one clients on. Inflammation is the central one. So reducing inflammation in the body, and so many of us are highly inflamed. Omega-3, and we're going to go on to it. Olive oil is incredible for that. Reducing cortisol because we're all overstressed, and balancing blood sugar.
Yes.
What balances blood sugar? Fats and protein. That doesn't mean carbohydrates are the devil, they're not, but it's just ensuring we've got an adequate intake of healthy fats in our daily diet. So going back to olive oil, there's an antioxidant in olive oil known as polyphenols.
Okay.
And there was some studies have been done in recent years that show the magic of when you take omega-3, so that could be a nice piece of wild oily salmon, mackerel, sardines, etc., with olive oil, the polyphenols push the omega-3 faster and stronger into the cell. And this has a phenomenal I'm getting goosebumps now, a phenomenal anti-inflammatory effect in the body. So this is why the traditional Mediterranean diet that has lashings of good quality olive oil, which I do need to touch on, wild oily fish, olives. This is why this is such a good, I don't like using the word diet because the first 3 words are die. I think it's the most negative word.
Yeah, I use the word.
So I use the word nutrition, but like it's one of the ways of eating that is so good for vitality and longevity. And I say to my clients, and it's a practice I do myself, have at least 1 tablespoon of good quality olive oil every day, 2 if you can. But like fish oils, 95%, unfortunately, of olive oils out there on the market in the supermarkets are highly processed synthetic oils. Never buy one that's in plastic because plastics will seep in. You want to get a good quality one. Ocado, just to mention, they have some great olive oils on there, packaged in glass, and a really good way of
They've got to be in glass.
Get glass. Okay. Never package oils in plastic because the plastic seep into the oil.
You're going to learn today, people.
Yeah. When you taste the olive oil, if it's got a bit of peppery taste on the back of the throat, that's a sign of a good quality olive oil.
Okay.
A good quality olive oil. If you want a health hack to get around this each day, you can still keep your good quality olive oil on the beautiful salad like we've just had for lunch, but you can take a supplement that I work with. It comes from a lab in Norway, and it combines in the same supplement. Oh, there you go. I never knew this. It combines high quality omega-3 oil, either from fish or algae, if it's the vegan formula, with polyphenols from olive oil. I use it with clients, and the results are extraordinary, because when we
need to buy everything on your website after today.
They've actually just they've actually just bought out a formula that's suitable from 1 year old, because we're recognising that autism, behavioural difficulties, eczema, all the result of inflammation in the body. And this is what I say to clients: how you crack the code with vitality and longevity. If you want to wake up in the morning and feel energized and focused when you get out of bed in the morning, you need to reduce inflammation. Because whilst we've got high inflammation in the body, it's like trying to run in mud or swim against the tide, where if we want to heal or optimize our health.
Yeah.
And once inflammation comes down, what happens? Our cells get more permeable and squishy. So nutrients can get into the cell easier, so vitamin and mineral deficiencies resolve as well. So the way, and this is, I really learned this working alongside Dr. Decker Wise. I actually said to him once, I said, doctor, give me like the insight. How do you cure these people? So, give me like your elevator pitch. He said, Kate, it's simple. He said, when you reduce inflammation in the body, you crack the code. He said, but the issue is our food chain and our lifestyle currently just keeps us in a pro-inflammatory state.
It feels like we're just in this vicious circle.
Exactly
all the time.
Exactly.
Like thinking we're doing good and then something else.
And a lot of what we've been told is healthy. Chicken and peanut butter, farmed fish, keep us in a pro-inflammatory state.
I love peanut butter.
Again, it's not going to the mindset of restriction of, I can't have this, I can't do that.
No, we're not here to do that.
It's knowing what supplements can I bring in, what good quality olive oil can I bring in as part of my staple
but
diet.
you're not going to actually put too much stress on your body.
Exactly.
And...
So then I'd love a chip. We had this discussion before. I'm a northerner. I'm never going to give up
because
chip.
We have to give context to this. So I'm reading a book at the moment, which Kate loves as well. And it's a Dr. Mindy Pelz, and she's written a book called Fast Like a Girl. Now, when I say fast, I bet a load of people are like, oh, she's not eating. Yes. It's not that. It's actually because I was interested. My mum passed it on to me, and she was saying to me, be really, really good for you to start thinking about how you are doing this fasting, because you do intermittent fasting, which I think is just very, very good for you. Think caveman time, like they were doing intermittent fasting before we were.
This.
That it's just to help me balance with my cycle.
Yes.
So I'm coming of age. I'm 37 in a few months' time. And I'm thinking about fertility. I'm thinking about how do I stay looking young, rewind that clock. Also thinking about how can I keep balanced. And that's where Elsa Ra comes in as well. But she was, oh my God, just everything that she was saying was just like gold to me. And it was just all to do with, it's going to sound like I'm telling everybody to not eat, but it's not that. But she was basically breaking it down to like, how do we do it? And it was like as if it was a book for dummies who've never come across it before. And it just made it very, very clear. But she did say to me that I couldn't have chips. And I was really upset. That's when I put the book down. I was like, I'm not reading you for a minute because we're both from North and we love a chip.
But the thing is, if you're taking like these, supplementing your body well, you're taking a good quality olive oil daily, your body's going to be much more resilient to that time when you do want to go to the pub on Sunday and have some chips.
So I could have a chip.
Yeah, exactly, because you're making...
I think this was just Mindy's way of saying, like, this is what I need you to do if we're going to go down this road.
Yes.
And she's probably not telling me about all the supplements because that's not what her book is about. It's about how do we get our head around this, to how to empower you and make you have that energy and let's live you a long, happy life, all of that.
And remember, like with fasting, when we eat, and this is really good for balancing blood sugar, say every 4 hours with nothing in between, which is a huge component of what she teaches as well.
She does.
That when the body's not having to digest and break down food, it uses that energy to repair cells,
Renewal.
Exactly this. We never used to graze all day long.
No. These people that are doing 6 meals a day, I'm like, you're not even giving your body a chance.
And this is why, I used to work a lot with like body, when I used to do different style consultations, when I worked in a gym, when I was a yoga teacher, I would have a lot of bodybuilders come up to me asking if I could do...
lived a million lives. Yoga teacher. Hi, baby.
And they would ask me, like, could I give them advice on supplementation? And they all had gut issues because they were trying to get a certain amount of high amount of calories in every day. Yeah. So their guts were never having a break.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with fasting, and what is, one of my huge passions every day is like having that empowerment around your health and well-being. And when I was in pharmacy, I saw so many people disempowered when they would sit in the doctor's chair and be like, I don't know what's going on in my own body. Can you fix me? Can I give you something to fix? And they feel disempowered. Yeah. When you start fasting, as in, that doesn't mean you're eating, as you say. It's eating at certain times of the day, breaking your fast with the right foods, bringing in supplements so your vitamin and mineral levels are properly topped up in the body. You're reducing inflammation with omega-3 and olive oil. That's when you begin to experience what real health feels like. And that's when everything in your life changes. And I use the analogy of dropping a pebble in water and all those concentric circles come out from the pebble.
Oh, nice.
So when your health starts to improve, your relationship with self, the most important relationship you'll ever have, ever, that begins to improve. You feel good, you feel energized. And then that ripples out to your close relationships, your best friend, your partner, your family, your working relationship, even how you chat to the guy in the coffee shop. If you're that
How do you chat to the guy in the coffee shop,
exactly.
How do you do that? Toss. With that gorgeous mermaid hair. She's like, oh, Faye, I just woke up like this.
Hitler's curler and omega-3. And it's like people will feel that vibrancy about you. And one of my...
If no one comes away from this podcast not feeling the vibrancy, we did something wrong.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
And we can pass this knowledge on to our younger generations.
I think it's just knowledge is power and everyone needs to be open to it.
And not getting overwhelmed by it. You know, I try and teach my one-to-one clients, it's like, make it fun, make it exciting, make it enjoyable. Do you know what I mean?
This is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's also, like you said, I mean, if we're learning about ourselves, we're totally empowering ourselves.
Totally.
And it's not like I'm going to be sitting there thinking, oh, no, I can't have that because, no, they've said I need to have that and I can't have that. You just subconsciously will go, well, I'm just going to have all this because I've done all the work.
Yeah.
And like you've given yourself the best thing you could do, which was a supplement, but also then a balanced nutrition. And then if you want to go and have a cocktail, no one's going to judge you.
Exactly this. And when I touched on earlier about saying, look, like...
She's going to have 3.
Exactly. I'm out for dinner this evening, can't wait. Touching on like how we really are so powerful. We have such a powerful capacity to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
Was another life that I've lived. I used to volunteer at an orphanage in Peru. Well, I still do. But
I mean, give this woman a medal. Like, what?
And I wanted to help support financially this orphanage. So about 6-7 years ago, I set up a business that made like high quality natural snacks. And everyone's au fait with this now. I'm sure no one in the UK had done this before I did it. My parents even still say this. I came up with the concept after being at a raw food retreat in Mexico. These protein balls. You know, it's like dates and nuts and protein.
You can make them. So, I've done that before, but I end up eating all of them.
Yes. So I just working at the orphanage for the second time. And I took a friend with me this time in Peru. We then went and did this raw food retreat in Mexico afterwards. And we had this epiphany. The orphanage needs funding. These protein balls, which we'd never had before in our life, are amazing. Like, let's do a business that makes these as balls, bars, etc. So we set up this business. We were supplying juice. Then the juice bars exploded. So we were supplying those all around Manchester, etc.
Shout out to Manchester. Hey.
And we got put for an award. It was like a Young Enterprise Award or something.
Casual. Just drop that in and just got an award.
So we had to set our little stall out, I remember. And this gentleman came up to us. And this will be like 10 years ago now. And we were using chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass in some of these balls and bars.
All the green stuff.
And it wasn't huge in the UK. It was around, but not huge. Yeah. And this gentleman came over who I'd say, like, white-haired guy. So I'm not good at guessing people's ages. Maybe late 40s, early 50s. And I said, oh, this is really interesting what you're doing. You know, the chlorella, the spirulina, the wheatgrass. He said, I was once living in Australia and I got diagnosed with terminal cancer. I had a brain tumour. And I was given 4 at best 6 months to live and politely told by the doctor, go home and, you know,
make the most of
the rest of your time here. So he said, luckily I was in Australia at the time, and guys and listeners have been, they're pretty much like years ahead of us when it comes to nutrition. I remember having my first wheatgrass
and constant sun. It's like they've
got
it all.
I remember my first wheatgrass shot on Bondi Beach when I was about 20 years old thinking, what is this grass water I've just been given? Because wheatgrass wasn't even a thing in the UK at the time.
But I bet it was good.
Your cells loved it. But I remember him saying, I was in Australia at the time, so I went down like the alkalizing nutrition route. So I was doing all the barley grass, the spirulina, chlorella, etc. And he said, I started meditating it got to up to 4 hours a day, imagining this brain tumour disappearing. And he was going to the doctors and they kept saying, we don't know what you're doing, but the tumour's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. To the point I've got a huge goosebumps now. It went. And he stood telling me this story. And I remember it being a message for me that I needed to receive that day, that like, Kate, you need to really empower people around this. And this is, like I said, this is 10 years ago. So now we're really getting on to breath work, affirmations.
Yeah.
It's really becoming a thing now, which is amazing. But just remember, like, alongside that supplementation, that internal dialogue and that inner knowing how capable your body is of healing itself. Because our body does respond to those thoughts. And that's why I think
thoughts become things.
And even when I take my supplements in the morning, I take them with like that act of gratitude, because I know how much like goodness they're then bringing into my cells and my health and my vitality. And it's just knowing that if you are struggling with your health, if you're feeling you've got ongoing issues, really look at like how you can look into supplementation, mindset work, because your body will respond. And if there's one thing you need to start with, it's reducing inflammation. And that is when everything begins to change in the body. I had a lady, I think this is a nice testimonial to share with the listeners, who came to me, and the review is actually on the website, and she came to me. She'd been a friend had recommended, and she'd been struggling with infertility and shocking immunity for 3 years. She actually said to me, Kate, I actually can't even remember the last time I felt great, and I keep going to the doctor, but because I'm having regular periods, it's just, they're defining it on the prescript, like my client record is unexplained infertility. 2 months on my supplements protocol, she conceived completely naturally and said, Kate, I can't...
She got pregnant?
She got pregnant. And she said, Kate, not only that, I cannot remember when I last felt like this. And I always say to people, incredible testimonials like that are amazing, but do you know what else will change your life? Improving your sleep.
Yeah,
just
I'm all about that at the moment.
Quality magnesium.
It's actually taking me a few years to sort out, and I have to thank my husband for it.
Yeah,
because he was just basically saying we just need some rituals. We need some, like, you need to create a good environment. There needs to be no stress. We need to, make sure it's all natural, nothing that you've got over the counter or anything you think might help you short term. Yes. It's not going to help you long term.
And that's a really good point. And I always say this to clients, like
And he's not a doctor. Like, he's not Kate, but that was really nice.
Yes. But yeah, and it is like, we live in this world of instant gratification. And don't get me wrong, I want to look and feel my best here and now. Yeah. I want to feel fabulous when I go for dinner later on.
Yes.
But also...
You will, by the way. Look at you.
Yeah. But it's like investing in your health now, so in 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, you'll be so grateful and happy you did that now.
It's just being grateful for what you've done now,
yes.
isn't it?
And I say to clients, like, please don't look at the cost of, say, the right supplements or doing that breathwork app or that yoga class. Try not to see it as a cost. It is an investment, because I think that return on investment.
I think it's definitely something that you have to point out is that you're investing in yourself. You can't put a price on healthcare.
Exactly.
Speaking of being grateful, you brought me a little treat today.
I did.
I didn't ask for this, and you're very cute. And so I was like, I'm going to shout about this because I can't stop shouting about her. But you brought me Lion's Mane Focus, and I took 2 before we did this, and she was like, you'll be bouncing off the walls. I think it goes to show that this isn't good, but tell me really quickly about why you brought me this and what's in it.
So medicinal mushrooms. So we share more of our DNA with mushrooms than we do plants. Yeah.
What?
We're a shroomy.
Hey. I always liked mushrooms.
At a cellular level, we're just a big shroom. And this is why, in China for years, they sip chaga tea because they say it keeps them young. It's actually shown to diminish age spots.
I mean, look at them. Yeah. They're just so stunning.
Immaculate, flawless skin. So mushrooms are, and because the mushroom's immune system functions the same as a human's immune system, this is why they have really, really good data for what's called immune modulation. So mushrooms are really good for supporting our immunity. But lion's mane, which has really stormed onto the market in recent months, is a really good cognitive mushroom.
Okay.
And when we're highly inflamed, stressed, vitamin and mineral deficient, we get brain fog. We get unfocused, unmotivated. And what lion's mane is really good for doing is working with the neurotransmitters in the brain that really improves our focus. I use it with clients with ADHD, with children with ADHD as well. I take it.
She didn't give me this because I've got ADHD, but it wouldn't matter if she. Wouldn't matter if it did, but
I take extra dosages on days I'm doing like invoicing or public speaking. I want to be super focused.
You really need to be on it.
Yeah, exactly. And these are like mushrooms. They're food state. They're from the earth. Like, that's organic, the one you're taking. So it's knowing as well that there's Mother Gaia gives us everything
I
we need,
know.
you know, and it's going back to basics. Stop
Totally.
eating synthetic, artificial foods, microwavable meals, you know, all this.
Guys,
I
it's like simplifying everything.
I say to people, you're an energetic and physical representation of the foods you eat. So be wholesome, be colourful, be pure.
Oh, I love
Do you know what I
that.
mean? Because that is what I remember one of my naturopathic lecturers when I was doing naturopathic nutrition said to me, she got hold of her eyelashes.
Yeah.
And she said, Kate, I thought it was like a trick question. She was like, what makes these grow? And I was like, what? She said, like everything you consume goes into your stomach, and that's what makes everything, including your eyelashes, flourish.
Yeah.
And she was like, so that's why you literally are. You are what you eat.
Yeah, no, you
and
are,
not just
totally.
physically, energetically.
Yeah.
You will, if you eat high vibrational, pure, wholesome food, you will be high vibrational and wholesome compared to eating dead, processed, low vibrational food. And once you get into the rhythm of that, it's just such a fulfilling, energized way of living. And that's what I really encourage people with. It's like, be the most vibrant version of you. And that's by choosing high vibrational daily supplements, choosing nutritional food sources, and you'll never go back to any other way.
I mean, this is the most positive podcast episode I think I've ever done.
And you can still have your Sunday chips.
Of course you can. I would talk to you all day long if I could. I probably will. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you for coming on Not Phased
so
with Faye.
welcome.
I really hope that everybody just go on her website, go and follow I Am Kate Living, because you are just sunshine and I've adored you coming on. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where your career takes you.
Thank you.
Such an inspirational and motivational chat on this week's episode of Not Phased with Faye with my beautiful friend Kate Living. Thank you again for all of your health and wellness tips. She really does know what she's talking about. A huge thank you to my team, my producer, Ben Collins. Oh, and some of you were asking about my slogan t-shirts, and this is the latest one from Leyendo. They have the coolest slogan t-shirts and caps. I'm just absolutely obsessed with their brand. So thank you to you guys. And remember that the new episodes of Not Phased with Faye will be dropping every Wednesday. So that's every week, every Wednesday, not Friday, every Wednesday. Stay tuned for another episode of Not Phased with Faye. For now, stay unfazed, and I will see you soon.